You can start and let me know when you want to go next. Just say next.
All right. So you can play the audio on the first slide for me. All right. You're welcome to my project pitch on the mental health. Yeah. Please, to the first slide. I have an audio on the first slide. I would like to play that. Start. It's supposed to start.
Did the audio start? Because I can't hear it anymore. Let me get out of presentation mode and probably that would help. Okay, I see it now.
All right. We seem to be having some challenges this evening. I still can't hear my audio. Um,
Oh.
yeah.
But I can hear you very well. I don't know. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. Should I keep playing?
Okay. Did it play to the end?
No, I think it went back. Um, how many minutes is it? It's just 1 minute. So, you can just be on mute, and then I can just play the audio, all the audio before you introduce yourself, if that helps.
Yes, yes.
Okay. We'll just get back to do that then. Okay, the audio is done. If you want to go ahead and start presentation.
Okay, yeah, welcome to my project page titled The Mental Health Van. This presentation is by Maxima. I'm going to report again. Okay, so the mental health van, we are going to next. Yes. So for the presentation, we are just going to go by these guidelines, we are having the project idea, the objectives, importance, target community and population. Then we'll be talking about the implementation of the project, actions and strategies, potential impact, evaluation methods and timeline, as well as the team to run this project, the sustainability of the project, and then we'll finally conclude and take questions afterwards. Next. All right, for the project idea, the idea of this mental health van is to move away from our traditional and already existing mental health um, framework, like there's counseling services and psychological services, which are generally fixed in, and then they expect those that need the services of these units to move to them instead of moving to them. So the main idea behind the mental health van is to design a framework that moves to those that need help. So here we are talking about the students that needs help. This framework is designed in a manner that the help is rather going to move to them instead of our traditional method where we wait on these people seeking help to come. This is the issue because most times their stigma associated with mental health issues prevents people from taking steps to access help. So this time around, we are going to send help and not waiting for people to come for help. So the objectives is to increase mental health awareness and education amongst the students, provide accessible counseling services, even though there are existing ones, they are limited in the services that they provide, to foster a culture of seeking support and to reduce stigma associated with mental health. The importance of the mental health van project. It is obvious that most times academic pressure and stress affects or takes a toll on our mental health and our general well-being. So this is to mitigate the stress that comes with academic pressure. We'll also be looking at the limited access to mental health resources available to students on campus. There are already existing mental health facilities. We have the counseling units of the UPSS school. We have the clinical psychologists at the school's clinic. However, these are, like I said earlier, are fixed in a manner that the students, because of stigma, because of the negative ideas attached to mental health and seeking help and support, people usually do not access these resources. And it's also going to be a proactive measure to support our students' well-being. So, like I said, also, we are now going to be moving to offer help and not necessarily just waiting, sit and relax for these students to approach us for help. Yeah. Next, please. All right. Now talking about the community, this is an urban university setting. It is the University of Professional Studies situated in Accra, Ghana. And our target group is students, both undergraduates and graduate students. Yeah. And students come from diverse backgrounds. We have international students, we have students all over the country, from different ethnic groups, different traditions, different religions, and they all find themselves on the same campus in the same community. Sometimes it's very difficult to navigate. It's difficult to take decisions as to how to live on campus, and this sometimes also has some negative effect on our mental health as well as our general well-being as students. There is existing counseling services as mentioned earlier, but limited accessibility. So this project it's going to curb some of these issues associated with mental health resources and access on the UPSA campus. Next, please. Okay, the target population of the students, it's approximately 10,000. We have about 18,000 students, but for the purpose of this project, we would like to just target 10,000 for the moment. And the focus will be on vulnerable groups, especially freshmen who are just coming into the school. It's a whole different environment for them because most of them were either in boarding schools they were taken care of, or they lived at home whilst they had their high school education. So coming to the university setting where you come to meet different people from different and diverse backgrounds, sometimes it's difficult to adjust, and some even end up falling out of school because of these issues. We'll also be looking at international students who are very new to the environment and culture shocks and a lot more of new things that they will be meeting. And also, we'll be looking at students with disabilities, or to put it better, special needs students who are mostly um, looked looked on with some different eye and sometimes a little bit of stigma already. They feel a little bit low when it comes to self-esteem, and this also has an impact on the mental health of these people and their general well-being. Next, please. Okay, so we'll be talking about the implementation stage of this project. Implementation comes in three phases. Next. Yeah, it comes in three phases. The first is the planning phase, which is approximately to be taken about 6 weeks. Um, And during this planning stage, we are looking at establishing partnerships with the UPSA counseling services, which I am privileged to have served for about 3 years now in my capacity as a peer counselor. Yeah, so I have a relationship with the counseling service, the UPSA counseling services already, and it will be a bit easier to liaise with them to get on board to drive this van. Also, we'll be looking at how to get to serve the needs of these students as by taking surveys and assessments to really identify what matters to them and where we should channel our energy and resources to. Also, a very important aspect of this project will be recruitment of professionals because the van cannot move without a driver. So we will need drivers for this van, where we will be looking at recruiting mental health professionals mainly on voluntary grounds. These are people who should be willing and voluntarily avail themselves to support these students and what they do and their well-being. Yeah. And also be looking at referral system for the ongoing support if the project aligns with people's ideas and people's let's say sponsors, then even some people may not be sponsors, but they may find importance of this project and may decide to refer to sponsors that may help with some grants and even human resource or whatever support that they can offer to the mental health van project. Next, please. Phase two, which is also going to take about 6 weeks, we'll see the launch of the mental health van. After we have recruited personnel, we have identified the needs of these students, we will now launch the mental health van to, to kickstart and to offer services to these students. We'll be looking at offering free counseling services. As mentioned earlier, the professionals, the drivers of this van are voluntary personnel who are just availing themselves to the services. So most likely they may not be benefits, especially when it comes to financial benefits. So we will not be charging for these services as well. So we are offering free counseling services to the students, providing educational materials and other resources to boost mental health awareness, education, and the eradication or reduction of stigma associated with mental health. Phase three. Phase three, after the launch of the project, we'll be looking at how to keep this project running and to intensify the services that we provide. So we'll be looking at regular outreach events, particularly when students have their SRC programs, religious programs, with sporting activities. We will liaise with the school, the student affairs SRC, to see if they can fit us in sometimes to have outreach events and group therapy sessions with students, because most times when it comes to individuals moving to access this support, it's challenging. So we'll be going to events, offering group therapy sessions in a way to sensitize and to eradicate, to reduce the stigma that's associated with this mental health. The stigma I usually call the demon in the dark room. Yeah, it keeps people away from accessing help even when they need it. So we are going to work earnestly to have stigma reduced to the minimal, so that students will not see help as a will not see asking help as a weakness but as a strength. So we also collaborate with student organizations, like I mentioned, the SRC, the their religious bodies. Like, there is also a movement on campus called the Professional Christian Union. This is a non-denominational gathering. Usually they have their programs a week, every week in a month. So they have a whole week dedicated to their worship, their praying and religious life boosting. And this will be a perfect time to meet a huge number of students, to promote awareness and to let them know that help is near. Yeah. One thing we'll also be looking at is phone calls and WhatsApp support services. Phone calls and WhatsApp support services. As the target population is about 10,000, it is highly impossible that we will be able to meet each and every student in person, but through WhatsApp, through phone calls, they can always reach out to us for support when it comes to mental health. Yeah. Next, please. Okay, we'll be looking at the actions and strategies to be taken. So we have social media campaigns. We will be making some posters, flyers, and brochures which will contain educational materials, boosting awareness of our presence, of the mental health van presence, as well as the need to access mental health support when needed. We have student ambassador programs, and this will be looking at if we could get students at departmental levels most likely course levels, just as they have course reps. If we could get students in each course to come up to take up roles as ambassadors for the Mental Health Van project, promoting mental health awareness, mental health education, and letting their colleagues know that help is just at the corner, help is near. So anyone that needs help can easily access as our help. Yeah. We'll also be having a referral system for the ongoing support. Next. Okay. We'll be looking at the importance of this project. What are the what are the achievements, or what are we looking up to achieve from this project? The Mental Health Van project is looking at increasing mental health awareness by 50% increase in counseling services. Like I mentioned earlier on in the presentation, there are already existing counseling services, psychological support service on campus. However, the design of these resources do not allow students to get help, to move to access the help that they need. I remember some time ago, I was privileged enough to pass on surveys which belonged to one of my mentors who was having her doctoral thesis, and it was about mental health. And when I passed on the surveys, some people filled and they were asking me, what if what they have answered in these surveys aligns with what they are currently going through? Is there help for them? Well, I remember I told them that they can walk to the counseling unit and they will get help, but most of them were reluctant about it. They're like, um, it's on campus, everybody is going to know about it, everybody is going to see. So we will be looking at reducing stigma. Stigma should be reduced to the minimal so that it will allow people, it will give people the freedom to access help when they need it. So that's how are we going to measure the reduction of stigma? It's going to be through service, and also we'll be looking at the number of students who are able to show up for support. And this will also indicate how the students are embracing mental health already, reducing the stigma, and seeing asking for support as a strength and not just a weakness, as the world makes it look alike. Yeah. Improved academic performance is also one area that we will we will be checking to see that this project is really impactful in the lives of the students, and the overall well-being of students will also prompt us as to the success of this mental health van project. Next slide. Evaluation methods. Okay, we'll be taking surveys, we'll be taking feedback forms to assess if we are in the right direction, if we are getting positive feedback from these students, then it's telling us that we are on track, and then we are to put in more effort to ensure that the mental health needs of students are met. Participation tracking. So we will be keeping records of the number of people that access help through the mental health van project, to used as a tool of evaluation at the end of the 1 year from the phase one to the third phase of this project. And then partner organization feedback. So that we already mentioned that we will be partnering with the SRC, will be partnering with the schools clinic psychological unit, will be partnering with the schools counseling unit as well. So we'll be taking feedback from these organizations that we are partnering with to see how far and how well we are going with the project. Next slide. The timeline. So for the first to the third month of this project, we'll be having the planning and the partnership establishment. From the fourth to the sixth month, we are expected to have launched the project and had run some initial outreaches where we are promoting mental health education, giving support to those that need help. And for the seventh to the 12th month, we'll be looking at ongoing implementations and then evaluation, as stated earlier. Next. All right, so the van cannot move by itself. It needs drivers, it needs conductors to keep it moving, to keep it running. So we are going to sit to plan to get a team that's going to lead this project. So we are looking at a project manager, mental health professionals, at least about 5 professionals who will be supported by volunteers who may be students, parents, whoever that wishes to volunteer to assist these professionals when it comes to outreaches, when it comes to awareness campaigns, when it comes to sensitization, will be most welcomed. We'll also be looking at outreach coordinator. This person will be responsible, or this team will be responsible for facilitating outreaches, making preparations towards the events that will be organized by the mental health van, and also a marketing specialist who will be helping us when it comes to seeking for grants, um, support, and also taking care of our our project running. Yeah. Next slide. So after the project has been launched, it's running, and the timeline for the initial start of the project is 1 year. It's the mental health van project going to fade off after the 1 year. No, that's not what we are looking at. We are looking at keeping this mental health van project running for ages, as long as there is the need for help, support with regards to mental health. The mental health van should be moving. So, how are we going to keep this mental health van project moving? We'll be seeking for grants and funding applications. We'll be having partnerships with local organizations. We'll be having partnerships with the municipal assembly. We'll be having partnerships with the mental health commission and other recognized bodies who are interested in students' mental health and students' well-being. Also, we'll be integrating this mental health van project with the UPSA counseling services and then psychological health department of the UPSA clinic to ensure that the van keeps running, it keeps providing help and support to students who need them to promote their overall well-being, academic excellence, and yeah. Next slide. So, conclusion, by implementing the Mental Health Van project, we aim to create a supportive, inclusive environment that promotes mental health well-being, encourages UPSS students to seek help when they need it. Yeah, thank you. Please, I'm ready for questions now. Clarity.
Thank you, Maxima. Um, and let me know if that's how you pronounce your name, so I don't butcher
Yes,
it.
please. Yeah, that's it. Maxima.
Okay. Um, Thank you so much for this presentation. It's very unique. First time I've heard using a van to promote mental health, so I'm very much interested in it, and I have some questions. So this will be a practical van because you were talking about conductors and drivers. Um, how would you ensure, are you going to, let me ask this first. Are you going to be having the counseling in the van?
All right, thank you very much for the question. Actually, this is a hypothetical van, not a van as a car or the
Got it.
vehicle van. Yes,
Hmm.
but
Okay.
yeah, the operation of this project it's going to be in a manner that it's like a moving vehicle, a
Mm,
van moving towards those that need help.
okay. So it would
Yes,
be providing access to the people, not them coming to you, but you going to them.
exactly.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So going to them, my main question is how will you ensure confidentiality, like having a private conversation with the person? How will you ensure that?
All right, so we are moving to them first of all to create the awareness,
Okay.
creating awareness and then reducing the stigma that will allow them to take the steps. So we are going to a group, for instance, let's say there is SRC week celebrations today. So we get the opportunity to speak to the students' body. We don't expect to address personal or individual issues on that ground, but
Okay.
we are there to create the awareness to let them know that it is normal to help, to ask for help, so they are able, their that stigma, I call the stigma the demon in the dark room that keeps us in the dark room, you see, it's like it quells us, prevents you from moving. But once the stigma is reduced, once we start seeing mental health as a normal and necessary part of life, then we will not be shy, we will not be afraid, just as we are not afraid to move to the doctor when we have malaria, when we have cold. We are not
Mhm.
afraid, we are not ashamed to move to the doctor. This is what the mental health van wants to create a very conducive environment, a welcoming environment that tells everyone that it is normal to have mental health issues, it is normal to be stressed, it is normal to feel depressed, and that there's always help for you. So during these programs, we are not going to have individual or personal interactions, but they can reach us after these programs either through WhatsApp text, either through personal contact. This will be the person's preference. If the person wishes to meet us, then we will arrange for that to happen. If the person wants to have the session online, it will be perfect as well. Yeah. And we are going to, I talked about recruitment of professionals. We are going to be dealing with professionals who know the rules when it comes to confidentiality, counseling services, all the procedures that needs to be met as a professional counselor will give support to his client or her client, or when you visit the clinical psychologist, she doesn't take a microphone to announce to the whole clinic, to announce to the whole hospital that you are here for mental health support. So we are going to be dealing with professionals who know what the job is about, and they are going to help but not leak your information to the general public. Yeah.
Okay. What is the biggest challenge for this project?
Okay, the biggest challenge for this project, I will say, is still the level at which we are facing. There's no social embracement of mental health as a norm, as a necessary part of life. It's a big challenge that we can foresee already. Reducing the stigma, it's not an easy one, but we are going to go hard on it, put in all our efforts, and see how best we can go about it. Yeah. And like I said, this project is purely on voluntary grounds because we are not guaranteed of any financial support, even though we'll be seeking for grants and other financial supports from donors and people who our project resonates with. It is not certain as it stands now, so we will be taking voluntary personnel to kickstart this project. Yeah.
Have you already tested and validated the project to see, like, have you done a pilot study to see how it's going to look like or work?
Okay, like I said, I have served as a peer counselor in the same institution for 3 years now. And what my role was, or what our role as peer counselors was, to find out and to identify students who need help. And what we will do is to refer these students to the counseling unit. And most times you refer them, but they wouldn't show up. So we will have sometimes to drag the counselor to meet. It's not that they don't want to have their issues solved, but most times it's the stigma. They don't want their friends seeing them associated with a counselor, a psychologist, because everybody's like, okay, that's that guy. I told you he was running mad. You see the way he acts, you see the way he behaves. I think he's getting mad. See, I saw him at the counselor's office yesterday. So because of those kind of things, they wouldn't really move, even though they genuinely need help. So what we did as peer counselors was to identify those who need the help. Then we refer them to the counseling unit. Then we have counselors talk to them, even though most times they wouldn't move themselves. Yeah, it would take the counselor to move to them, to open up, to now share their issues, to get some support. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do think that's a very good way to approach the students. Um, I do, and you said there's a hotline. Is there a hotline that they use or a WhatsApp that they use?
Yes.
Okay, okay, so that's available to the students. Just the last thing is like, how does the funding look like to you? What exactly on your project needs to be funded?
Okay, when it comes to the funding, we'll be looking at there are educational resources that we'll be providing, probably some flyers, printing out some flyers, making some brochures for which contain mental health educational materials or awareness campaign flyers. I think that will be the major issue that will need funding, as well as when it comes to the social media campaigns as well. We'll need to promote our social media campaigns. And then, yeah, those areas are much more needed when it comes to funding. Yeah.
Um, okay. I think that works for us. So that's my last question. Actually, I need to ask you if you have any questions. Do you have any questions for us for me?
Not, I don't have any question assistance now. Yeah.
Okay. I think this is a great um how do I call it project. And you when you were talking about conductors and drivers, they will be the mental health professionals.
Yes, please.
Okay. Um, okay. And you said they offer WhatsApp counseling because, if it's hard to go to the center, it's easier if they provide some online support.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
and then in funding, you just need funding for the flyers, you said educational resources and social
Yes.
media promotions, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do you already have like a website or a social media account?
No website, and there's no social media account dedicated to that particular service or project yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but I have
Okay.
my personal, yes.
Okay. We wouldn't mind promoting it if we decided to go with you. Um,
Um,
okay. So if you don't have any questions, I think that is everything. I think you're the last person presenting today, and we're going to be reviewing the all the projects this weekend. So by next week, at least before the end of next week, we should reach out to you and let you know if we were selected among the two people. Since we're selecting only two people, like I said early on, we will try our best to promote this on our YouTube and see if there are other people who can sponsor more of these mental health projects because they're really, really good projects that need to be funded. Um, Let me just stop the recording and then I have